I don't know what they actually insure anymore. Don't insure travel for bandit attacks. Don't insure towns for Vash the Stampedes. What's left?
Yeah, apparently, but they do insure for actual cyclones.
Actual typhoons, yes. And maybe broken down motorcycles. Maybe that's motorcycle accidents are still covered. Hello and welcome to Is That Some Kind of Japanimation Thing? A show that wants to know how many Toonami viewers are in retirement homes right now. Okay, so this is our monthly show where we look back at an old anime, and eventually we'll look back at a different, newer anime. But for right now, we are still covering the original Trigun from 1998. This series is sponsored by Hobby Link Japan, home of, so much stuff. So much stuff. If you are a dork and want things from Japan, they have it. They have stationery, and not just like character, like mechanical pencils with characters on them, just like actual good stationery and washi tape. And you can also check out the collection of sci-fi figures and model kits from Kotobukiya, including their line of Trigun figures, which should be back in stock soon. But until then, the link is in the description. My name is Scott.
And I am Justin.
So we are jumping back into things. We are picking up with Trigun episode 18, Goodbye for Now. This is directed by Shigeki Awai, who of course did episode 2, 9, and 14 of this show, as well as a number of episodes of Zoid's Wild, a single episode of Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out, a few episodes of Lupin the Third, Part 6, and a few episodes of Ice Guy and His Cool Colleague, among many, many other things. I just picked some recent ones.
That sounds like some exciting stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. It's definitely exciting. We are going to start off the episode with a flashback. We are picking up basically 15 minutes after the end of the flashback from last episode, with Vash and Knives staring each other down over a dead guy. Some dead guy. It's been 100 years since the crash, as far as we can tell. There are some details dropped about how Vash is allowing himself to keep the scars, even though he could regenerate them. We are given to understand that maybe this dead guy is connected to Rem, but then Knives is just like, no, I'm going to shoot your arm off, and then I'm going to activate the weapon of mass destruction that is inside your revolver. And then Vash decides to just point that right at Knives' face, and we get the great line, "Oh, you're pointing a gun at me again? You're doing this again?" And then smash to the bus.
Now, Rem did say take care of Knives, and he is doing his best, and he just can't quite land that.
Yeah, I mean, taking care can mean a lot of things. A lot of things.
It is a versatile phrase.
It is. Wolfwood finds himself on the bus into a town that is not in great shape, as evidenced by the fact that everyone wants on this one bus leaving. And that when Wolfwood walks into a bar, everyone pulls guns on him. It's a little tense.
Yes.
A little tense drinking experience.
Many of the venues we visited have been more chill, I'm just going to say.
We find out from the bartender, conveniently, always bartender's convenient source of exposition at all times, that the entire town is being held under siege by some banditos, led by, Vash the Stampede.
Disappointing to see he's gone back to these. That's just, Vash, we thought better of you.
Yeah, really.
Or did we?
And then we are introduced to two entirely new characters, Eric's and Lena. Lena is apparently a 12-year-old girl who kicked this Vash the Stampede in the face for being a creepmo. Eric's is like, oh, come on. You're allowed to be a creepmo a little to a 12-year-old. And it turns out that our Vash the Stampede of the episode is some fat dude with a mohawk and a large gun for a hand.
As a standard policy in these wastelands.
Yeah, just how this goes. Eric's decides to not hand over the young girl to the bad men, and instead opts to humiliate himself in public, and the bad men are going to shoot him, and then Wolfwood just stares Honky down. Wolfwood just stares this guy down, and
Yeah.
Vash, Eric's still gets shot by one of Vash's goons, and we catch up at the hospital.
This Eric's guy just looks familiar. I feel like we know him from somewhere.
If there is something familiar about this guy, especially all the body scars.
Yeah, that's when it sort of clicks in.
Yeah, that's the big click. Never mind that it has the same voice actor, and we know we have seen this. We have seen this game before. We have seen some bastard posing as Vash, and actual Vash, just not being along with it. So we catch up a little. Vash is now living as Eric's and just planning on giving up.
He didn't take poking a hole in the moon very well.
No, he did not take being, leveling another city that well. Nick outlines the plot of the next few episodes where it's like, all right, look, here's the deal. You and me, we're going to team up. We're going to track down Knives because he's making whole towns disappear. You and me, we're gonna buddy cop this. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna find him, and we're gonna get him before they can leave to go get Knives. Lena gets got. She gets grabbed, and we see that Vash has a long, dark moment, as symbolized by a cloud passing over the two suns, which then the first thing we see illuminated once the cloud moves is the gun. He picks up the gun. Subtext is for cowards.
I know anime creators use subtext, and they're all cowards.
Yeah. There's just this moment of, I really thought I could give up. That's not how this works. You know that. How many guys? And we get
Michael Corleone has some bad news for you, Vash.
Yeah. We do have one of my favorite scenes of just like Nick and Vash marching up to a building full of goons. It's like, how many guys? 200. 100 each. That seems wrong. And they're just, I love this like tired cowboy. It's like zero stress. This is the same as a hard day at work for me. It's like, no, we just gotta go. We just gotta go do it. Wolfwood shows off that he has a newer, bigger gun inside a cross.
Yeah. That's good. You keep it wrapped up, and that way you can spring that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you can just spring it on people. We see that they're going to march in. We get a hard cut straight to the aftermath. Again, love this bit. Love this pacing of it's just like, yeah, we know there's no threat. There's no stress. We just cut to the building is in 3 pieces entirely. Everyone is on the ground bleeding. And we just see some commentary from the townsfolk. It's like, I've never seen a man kick that much ass in my life.
They just got through really quick.
Yeah, just no BS. No BS. We know what the pieces are. We're going to put them down, and they're not going to waste our time. I respect that from a creator. Again, Mad Max Fury Road. Oh, that's not his blood.
It's like a gumshoe thing where you can solve a situation by, just spending gun, shooting the place up.
Yeah, I'm going to spend 3 points of gun, and it's gone.
He's pretty sure he's got a Vash attribute.
Yeah. We then see a bit of a moment where, Granny, who is taken in, Lena's granny, who's taken him in, talks through about how, I'm going to miss this Eric's guy. Vash gets a haircut. He's back to form, or partially back to form. And we see them agree to set off into the wilderness to find Knives. Dots connected, pieces moving forward. We've established the stakes. We've seen some of the backstory, and now we move forward. That's a good connective tissue episode.
And I was very impressed by myself saying, oh, he's getting a haircut. Just like the time Rem gave him a haircut. Flashback. All right, fine. Let me have the moment. Jesus.
Yes. Yeah, like you could have let it breathe. I mean, the scene really does breathe. There's a couple great long shots with a lot of use of stillness, but it's like, no, okay, again, broadcast TV, they don't count on you having seen everything. But yeah, could have breathed a little more.
I did like the flashback to cavalry in black and white.
Yep.
Sorry, to carcasses in black and white. Subtle name.
Look, there are real towns in Arizona. There's a Tombstone, Arizona. I'm sure there is some sort of similar thing of just Corpse, New Mexico. You know, there's a Litchfield, Pennsylvania. Litchfield, also a
There you
grave
go.
terminology.
But I did love the black and white with the knives written in red.
Good touch. Good touch.
Yes. Oh, that was a good episode. Uh, so did people think Vash was dead after second last episode? Was that the assumption?
I would say yes, because I don't think they didn't find anyone alive in the rubble. Like it's
True.
just a city full of rubble, and they didn't find anyone alive in it. Obviously, that's because we scared everyone out, in theory. But it's like, okay, we found some dead gung ho guns and a lot of rubble. I think people just assumed he was dead.
Is that why Millie and Molly and Meryl got recalled?
Yeah. So we are
Because I
into
was a
the.
little because I
Well,
was a little unclear on that. I think when it happened.
yeah. So we're into the next episode, Hang Fire.
Yes.
Directed by Tomio Yamauchi. He also did episode 15 of this series. He worked on the woman called Fujikomine, Megalobox, Getter, and Getter Robo Armageddon. And we start in the insurance office. I think, in theory, they were recalled because he was declared an act of God. And it's like, okay, we don't actually need to send investigators after this, right?
Ah.
And I think now, well, we start off in the insurance office, and we have
Yes.
a bunch of scenes that are just exist to force exposition. They're just there to completely recap the last 3 episodes, so everyone is up to speed on what's going on. But we also get to see the insurance agency, and we get to see actual regular humans who are insurance agents. And
Yep.
the other big thing that I want to take away from the first scene is that everyone's like, oh, it must have been so rough with an outlaw out there in the wilderness. And Meryl, who hated being with Vash and nagged him every second of all the time, was like, it wasn't that bad, actually. Like she's gotten soft post mass destruction event. She's gotten soft on the boy.
She's mooning for him.
Yeah.
And Karen, who's very much, I think she's a very proto Karen because people were not using that term to refer to incredibly terrible people yet.
It also doesn't help that I think Karen, like the Japanese word Karen, is like the name of a bodhisattva. I'm gonna be wrong on that. That's
But
a layer of irony.
and she says Meryl will never achieve womanly happiness.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's not a great word.
Is that I just I feel like she's coming with something there that we don't understand out of the cultural context.
Yeah, I'm sure if
Or
we
is she
looked
just
up,
being a jerk?
I think she's just being a jerk. Like this, I think the word probably has a better translation now, but I also think this is just like, oh yeah, some office ladies are just bitches, aren't they?
Yeah.
Can't be having no fun in the office lady world. We find out that Millie has been assigned to janitorial duties because she's actually bad at doing office work.
Oh.
But we also are like, okay, the boss calls her up. It's like, oh, I think we got reports of Vash on the move again. And I guess they do need insurance investigators to certify this as a Vash event. Dots aren't connecting for me, but
It's a little. Yeah, I was like, but if he's been declared a act of God, do you really need to? Or that's why I thought they might have assumed he was dead after the explosion. I couldn't tell.
it has been. I think it's supposed to have been months.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Granny talks about taking care of Eric's for a while. So I think it's supposed to have been months, and maybe they just gave up and went back to the insurance company. But okay, so they're back on the case. Meryl is full of life again. We see her locker, and she's gearing up. And okay, this is a detail, and I'm not sure what it is, but like in her locker, there's the little shelf at like the 5-foot mark, right? That every locker has. And
Right.
Meryl's locker, it's all small boxes, and I'm like, are those the boxes for the Derringers? Does she put them back in their original boxes when she gets home?
She does seem like the type.
Yeah, she
She's
keeps
a
all
very
the original
specific.
boxes and just they go wet. I oil them and then I put them back in the box. That's what I do.
She takes good care of things.
Yeah. I mean that's how you know. Anyway, Meryl and Millie, they're back in action and they're on the road again. And we cut to Vash and Wolfwood having died in the desert because no one can keep a motorcycle running.
Are we sure it's not just a Wolfwood issue?
I think maybe
'Cause
it's
every
a him
time
thing.
we see him, he's like broken down somewhere.
They hitch a ride from a guy in a truck with nothing in the back of the truck. Let's not talk about that.
He's on his way back from dropping some things off.
I guess. Anyway, they're arguing about where to go. The girls find out that stuff is going to go down in Oregon. Yeah, we also get a cut to some guys. There's a man in a mustache telling some dudes who look ne'er do well that they can kidnap a kid, and that's it. We find out that Meryl and Millie were actually not chasing Vash, but an actual typhoon, as we are in Oregon, and they're a real typhoon, a real windstorm is blowing in. This is a plot point that will matter eventually. We get a scene where Vash and Wolfwood split a giant plate of spaghetti that homages Lupin III Castle of Cagliostro, which is fun. Fun scene.
I'm also seeing a little bit of Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is definitely. Okay, I have not checked, but I know that Vash and Wolfwood, popular ship. If this has not turned into a Lady and the Tramp thing, if that doesn't exist, I'm just saying that everyone else but me is wrong. Someone actually acknowledges the cat. Vash leaves mid-argument, and the cat is there, and someone points out that the cat is real.
Yes.
No, not often the cat is acknowledged. We then get a quick cut to Meryl and Millie having splurged on actual tickets for a Sandseamer, and then they are accosted by bandits again. And this is the scene. It's like, it's real nice that we can just travel normally. Accosted by bandits, and they're like, we should never travel.
Well, they should buy insurance for their travels from the Ghirardelli Insurance.
Travel insurance. That's the thing you need.
I don't even think they offer it.
They well, now, given how many bandits there are, I don't know what they actually insure anymore. Don't insure travel for bandit attacks. Don't insure towns for Vash the Stampedes. What's left?
Yeah, apparently, but they do insure for actual cyclones.
Actual typhoons, yes. And maybe broken down motorcycles. Maybe that's motorcycle accidents are still covered.
What's the thing you have to not pay on your insurance claims before they cover it?
The
deductible is insane on broken down motorcycles.
Oh, yeah. We get Vash is in Oregon to see this guy, Simon. He's old. We don't know any details on him other than that no one really cares about his job. And while they're talking, the sand steamer from before crashes into the side of the building Vash is in because some baddies are actually out for revenge on the guys that own the building. And we see the girls escape. We see Vash and Simon are doing a Die Hard. They are doing a Die Hard.
I will say, the way Millie and Meryl escape with the gun and the feet. Did Tarantino write this episode?
This one feels like it starts on like someone's specific fetish and then ends on like, oh, this guy's just talking about how he saw her panties before she shot him. Gotta start somewhere. Vash and Simon are doing a Die Hard and fighting their way up the building to the baddies. Simon just says, no, you should just play along. You should just be like extra Vash about this, so they'll give up. At which point, Vash decides to be extra Vash about it and sing a terrible, goofy song about murder. I think I used this as a ringtone for a while.
Excellent choice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also worth noting that the building they crashed into is home to a radio station, So the radio presenter is narrating everything that's going on, and no one thinks to, like, tell him to stop or shut off. It's just like, no, we'll let this guy describe being a hostage to everyone. Now, Vash storms the place, knocks out most of the guys. We get Mustache Man disappears. Just disappears.
Mhm.
A thing that might matter in a bit. We get a long scene where the leader of the bandits is out for revenge for... I like that it's not really specific. Like, the family that owns this building has succeeded through violence, and this guy was caught in the crossfire, or his family was, and he just wants he wants his pound of flesh, and he can't even do it, and he breaks down, and Vash hug punches is out. Just hugs him and takes punches until his feelings are dealt with. And of course, Wolfwood doesn't get it.
Well, no.
No.
What are the precepts of his religion? I want to know.
Yeah, we don't really get it. We don't get a piece of it. There are hints of it. It does seem to think.
I mean, he's carrying a cross.
Yeah.
Now, in spite of the fact it is essentially a really big gun, on the other hand, right there, I think sort of breaking off from some of the core beliefs.
But not in, like, the Mooney way where they bless ARs.
Yeah.
It's the Moonies that do that, right?
I can't keep track. It could have been. I mean, whenever anyone says this really wild thing that a religious organization did, if you fall back on the Moonies, you're 70% in luck.
I mean, and I know there's a schism within the Moonies now. I think there's
like, I hadn't heard that.
I think there's North American Moonies and Moonies everywhere else, and they're not talking to each other. They've decided a different
Korean Moonies.
Like, I think there's a split on which moon is in charge. Things are resolved. They watch the sunset. Wolfwood expresses that he doesn't get it. Millie expresses that it's good to be back on the road with Vash, even though she still resents him and thinks he's silly. And we find out that the Mustache Man is a robot? ?
Yes.
He fits in a suitcase. He breaks into his constituent parts and floats into a suitcase.
And he speaks to the cat. At this point, do we know who he is? That he's a member of the Get Along Gang?
That's the next episode. Because he does have, like, a psychic connection time with Legato to set up the next episode. So it is like, nope. We got a moment of dude in a hat talking to Legato, and we are like, oh, things are afoot and things are going forward, and then we get to next episode.
Now, while I got you here, I just want to ask, all right, so Dominique the Cyclops and Ride the Blade died.
Dead.
E.G. Mine too, right?
Probably got blown up, yeah. No, E.G. Yeah. E.G. Mine probably got blown up. Monev also dead.
No. Okay, Monev, do not have them on my list, so I'll have to adjust that. I think, one of them did not get killed by Vash, but Wolfwood took them out after the moon got shot, right?
Yeah, so Ray Day got shot. Ray Day crawled out of the rifle, found Wolfwood. He was about to call Wolfwood not a name, probably not Wolfwood, and then got shot.
Okay.
Monev and Dominique were killed by E.G. Mine. They were strung up in the middle of town.
Okay.
E.G. got blown up by Ray Day.
Okay. Did Mid-Valley die?
Mid-Valley is still alive. Mid-Valley is still fine and enjoying saxophone solos somewhere for now.
How can someone who plays a saxophone be evil?
I don't understand it.
It is probably one of those cultural things. All right, so of the Get Along Gang, 4 dead.
Yep.
Many still around. Good.
Many.
Does the physical release of this come with a scorecard?
I don't think it does.
Someone out there in Fanland produce a bad guy scorecard for this show.
All right. Just so you can take along as you read.
Yeah.
So we get to the next episode, Flying Ship, directed by Yuji Moriyama. And do you know who storyboarded this episode?
I'm afraid I do not.
Yuji Moriyama.
Well, there you go.
Do you know
Save
who
some
was
time.
animation director on this episode?
I have a suspicion, Scott. Could it be Yuji Moriyama?
Yeah. Do you know who did the keyframe animation on this episode?
No idea. I'm stumped. I'm stumped.
Yeah, Yuji Moriyama. This is his only credit on the series, but he did all 4 major roles on this. Because he's a big deal and a bit of a control freak if you read his resume. He created Project Echo. He was also the director and animator and lead character designer on the adaptations of that. He did a bunch of Yurusei Yatsura movies, including being AD on Beautiful Dreamer, which is the thing that launched Mamoru Oshii's career, really. He did so much Bleach. He did the Macross Plus movie. He has a long list of credits, and whenever he's involved, he's usually covering 3 or 4 bases, because he is just one of those guys that can't not be covering 3 or 4 bases at a time.
Hey, if you got the energy and ability to do that, I say go for it, because you can tell the story you want to tell. And you'll probably burn the fuck out by the time you hit 35.
Well, he's got to be 70 by now, because he started, in the 80s. So he's got to be he's got to be looking a little rough. I hope he quit smoking.
Yes, I hope so too. That is a bad habit. Yuji, put the cigarettes down. Get you a patch or something. I don't know.
All right, so last episode we had a storm watch. This episode we have a storm warning.
Uh-oh.
As we open on Meryl and Millie hiding out in a hotel, trying to find where Vash went. It turns out that Millie had a tracking device. She was given a tracking device by the boss because she needs all the help she can get. And what happens is Vash has outsmarted them and given the tracking device to a cat. There is also a sequence where 2 Thomases fly through a window, and presaging, I think. No, this is an homage to Twister 1. And for the rest of this sequences, the Thomases are just following them from hotel room to hotel room. Like, this is normal for them to be on the 2nd floor. We then get another flashback. We are flashing back to the point immediately after the crash. This is new information as Vash is incensed. He is driven to violence. And we get the great exchange of, "You're not human." "Damn right I'm not. Don't compare me to that filth." Just establishing where our villain's motivation is. Just where he's at. Some violence. And we find out that Vash was here to talk to Simon to get very accurate weather information so that he could jump off a cliff.
This is going to give bad ideas to kids. That's all I'm going to say.
Do not try this at home, kids, no matter how accurate your typhoon information is. He jumps off a cliff. He catches some sort of floating device, and it catches him, really. He hits his head. It's messy. He climbs on. He finds out that Wolfwood also jumped off a cliff, proving the point that if Vash the Stampede jumped off a cliff, would you do it too? Is a valid question.
He's a man of faith.
He is a man of faith. He does. He follows. We see that the device that they are floating on takes them to a ship that hasn't crashed yet. It is one of the Seed's ships that has not crashed yet.
You're very specific in your description there. It seems to have been up there long enough that crashing is not really on the agenda.
I think that at a certain point that it, just entropy is at play, and I think there is we'll see how this goes.
Yeah,
we get a scene with the baddies. We get a scene with Legato and our weird dude in the hat who has, I don't know, mind control robots. They don't establish how this works yet, but we see them discussing some stuff, recapping what happened last episode. And we see that our Mr. Mustache Man suspects Nick Wolfwood of being up to something or playing both sides, or we don't know all the details. We get a little scene inside the vault. I call it the vault because I just watched the Fallout show, but it definitely has some vault vibes.
Yes. Yeah.
Inside the ship, we have an old guy, and we have Brad, who is a Steve.
Yeah.
He's a Steve.
He is such a Steve.
He is such a Steve. Not a lot of haircuts on the Seeds ships, but this guy's a Steve.
There was one ship carrying all the barbers and knives, blew it the fuck up.
Just gone.
Suddenly all these combs are fluttering through space. You can only cut someone's hair if you truly love them.
Somewhere out there's just ice crystals of Barbasol. Just blue goo scattered throughout space.
When it re-enters the atmosphere, you get brilliant aurora. It's beautiful.
We are introduced to another character inside the Seed ship, and that's Jessica, who is very keen on Vash, despite not having seen him for 20 years.
Now, has it been that long?
This is it. They say 20 at one point, and they say 10 another.
Because I would have been, it's like, and like the Steve-looking guy hasn't seen him in a long time.
He says 20.
I don't know. Yeah,
he
how
says
old is
I
Jessica?
was.
That's what
So Steve says he was 6 when he saw Vash, and it's been 20 years since he saw him. So 26. That's a Steve age.
Yeah.
Jessica in the flashbacks looks like she could be. She's walking and talking. She could be 4 or 5. And if we had the same 20 years, that makes sense. Peers with Steve, which is important.
I'm not sure Jessica doesn't. I didn't get the impression. I didn't conceive of her as a 20-something-year-old. She still looked very young, like a preteen. But if I'm just misinterpreting the character, then that definitely answers a lot of questions. But I just want to, it was very clear that Vash visits here when he can, and the amount of time is not frequently, like every few decades, which just leaves you wondering how it's set up. Like, do they have supplies? Do they have a garden? I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know what they're doing for food, because it doesn't look like a complete ship still. It looks partial. And there's a scene where Vash gets to ask, like, okay, how's everyone in the cryotubes? And the cryotubes are stable, apparently. We get a quick shot back to the girls dealing with the storm, by which they mean they're rushing out into a windstorm to chase Vash, even though he left a note not to do that. And we are also shown the outside of the ship again to establish that there are a bunch of birds that are robots or something, and they break up into parts and fall into the vents, a la the last episode with the Mustache Man.
Yes.
Wolfwood is clearly not welcome in the spaceship, and we get...
They do not like outsiders.
They do not like outsiders. They do not like his vibes. His vibes are bad, man. We will exile you for bad vibes. And he cusses them out for living comfortably, which...
Yeah.
I mean, they are. They absolutely are. And he has seen a lot of shit, or it's implied that he's seen a lot of shit. But it reminds me of 11. Was it 11? Where it's like, oh yeah, you've been living off of other people's suffering this whole time. Now you have to deal with it. Like, it reminds me of him being judgmental of the Caravan kids.
Yeah.
And I think they try to justify their lives, and it's like, yeah, you put in a full day of keeping this ship floating, keeping the cryotubes running, or whatever it is you do. You have beds, and there's only one guy with a gun on here, and it's Brad. Like, he's angry with them for living well in a way that the Japanese performance comes off really vicious. It comes off really, really poisonous, and it's good.
I can't see why they would want to be in touch with the people on the surface if that's how
No, it's real
it
bad
usually
down there,
turns out.
man. It's real bad.
Yeah.
It's hot. It's dry. Everyone has guns. The only vegetable we've seen is tomatoes.
Like, Vash is literally the only person who hasn't murdered anyone on this show, it feels like.
Yeah, it feels like it. It feels like it. We also get a scene where Brad accuses Vash of being worse than Knives because he has blown up 2 towns.
Pretty sure Knives is still.
Vash doesn't have an answer, though.
Vash is very guilty of everything he's done. Knives does not feel any contrition for his actions.
Because those are the stakes. We have someone who doesn't believe in other people, and someone who does. We see that Jessica is making dinner. It's very nice. There's a bunch of things going on.
It's not tomato-based.
We don't see any tomato dishes. There are potatoes even. Wow. We something goes wrong, and Nick bashes down a door to find some dead guys. He turns around, and we find that there are more dead guys. We are led to believe that Jess has been kidnapped, and we learn that our dude in the hat, who is controlling all these robots, is named Leonov, and he starts to call Wolfwood Chapel the something, a name that maybe we remember from 10 episodes ago, and then gets shot.
Yes, I did. I have a list. Ooh. Well, shot, quote unquote.
Yeah, he shoots the mustache guy, and we find out that mustache guy is they call him a doll, but hey, we have a case of a humanoid figure being shot and no blood. That's a callback, right? We had a suicide guy a few episodes ago who shot himself in the head.
The messenger, yes.
Yeah.
So that was another one of Leonov's puppets.
Yeah.
There you go. I understand now. Things are all coming together.
Details clicking together. We have Brad and Nick confronting a hostage situation, and Nick just says, "No, my call is to just ignore the hostage and shoot all these bots, and we'll shoot them all and count and let God sort it out." And then he says, and then he stops. He just stops. It's like, yeah, but I know a guy who will actually do this the right way. And he waits because he has faith in Vash. And who shows up but Vash? He's got the coat. We have seen him reassemble himself. We have seen him take up the gun, do the haircut, and now he's got the coat. And he just...
a new arm.
Yeah, shiny new arm. And he hacks up these robots, these dolls, these puppets, and saves the girl. And we get a quick flashback to Rem talking about flowers and talking about geraniums. And so she says that in the language of flowers, geraniums are for courage and determination. I had to look this up. I had to double check this, and this could be a gap because there's different traditions for this, French versus English, and maybe Japan has their own. But in the English tradition, do you want to know what red geraniums mean?
Yes, tell me.
Foolishness. If that's on purpose, I love it. I love it.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. This blonde idiot.
This blonde idiot's gonna save us all, and we get our puppet guy, a different mustache puppet guy, explaining that, oh shit, you think we only come one at a time? Nah, there's 2 more guys on this ship. We're gonna kill everybody. Tune in next week. Cut to credits.
Cliffhanger.
Oh, and then we get a scene of the girls trying to not get blown away in a windstorm.
Yes. See, I didn't think, because of the way the episodes were grouped, I didn't think we'd have a cliffhanger. I assumed we'd go right into resolving. Nope. 2 more get along, gang.
Yep.
Very exciting. Loved it. That just raises further questions. Are there more siege ships in the upper atmosphere? Did that thing that he rode up only Does it only go so low? Or
I
does
think it only goes so
can they-
low. I don't know why.
I'm not sure how useful that is.
Yeah, like this is a very weird. This is very weird as like a method of allowing people up a little bit.
Hello?
Like they're like you could just give Vash like a flare gun or something. Just stand
That
at
would be
this.
useful.
But no, just like all right, just wait until you can jump off this cliff at the right angle. Anytime there's a windstorm.
When there's a windstorm coming through.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like, just raises further questions. Are there more of these things up in the upper atmosphere? Could the barbers be up there somewhere?
Oh yes,
Uh,
the spaceship of barbers. 8th generation barbarian spaceship men. Evolving new forms of sideburns at all times.
Every generation they duel for the new haircut. And then for 20 years, that's all anyone has.
All right, so
But yes, the ongoing duel between Vash and Knives, an eternal Cain and Abel sort of thing. I'm digging it. I am liking it.
I'm laughing now. We'll get to it. It's in episode 26. We'll get there.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I mean, it is two brothers fighting, but once again, writers who use subtext. I assure you there's a scene with a rock in episode 26. I'll tell you that.
Oh. As long as Vash isn't a vegetarian.
There we go. All right. Obviously, we have to ask you, what do you think happens next? Beyond just, they have to shoot their way off this spaceship with 3 goons on it. 3 named boss baddies.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's going to be very exciting. We are definitely heading towards. So 26, is that the final episode?
26. It is a 26 episode run.
All right. So we have 6 more episodes, one of which is the conclusion to this, then 5 more. They will have to. First off, Wolfwood is a member of the gang, Chapel, and why he has rejected Knives is a curious question I'm looking forward to hearing. Or if I don't know if, he could have killed him at any point. So many times Wolfwood could have killed Vash if he wanted to.
A lot of chances.
Many chances. Vash isn't, I'm like, omitting his narrative and vulnerability as the lead, if, looking at it from a purely Watsonian thing, he could have killed him, but he didn't. So obviously, Wolfwood has his own motives and further plans, or just doesn't want to murder him. Wolfwood is happy to murder other people, doesn't want to kill Vash. So he has gone against Knives and the rest of the Gedlong gang. But he was the only one who was absent when they had their initial meeting. So we're gonna see what happens. I hope that I want the final episode to be a double wedding. Vash and Meryl and Millie and Wolfwood. That's what I want. And yes. And who's going to marry them? I don't know. We've seen other priests along the way, probably. Or a hologram of Rem. A hologram of Rem marries them, these happy couples.
Okay.
And everyone
best
was
ending right there. Best ending. Justin's still calling best ending. Okay.
We're getting the light side ending. God damn it.
All right. So until next time, do the podcast things, ratings, reviews, shares, whatever. Also check out our sponsors at HobbyLink Japan, home of many figures, many toys, many kits, many costumes, many hats, all sorts of things that if you were a dork, you can check out, priced reasonably, ships quickly. Link will be in the description. Until then, see ya.
See you later, Space Cowboy, which is a different show.
Different show.